The first president of independent Namibia, Sam Nujoma, has died at the age of 95 in the capital, Windhoek. The current president, Nangolo Mbumba, announced the news saying that Nujoma had been in hospital for the past 3 weeks. Nujoma led the long fight for independence from South Africa in 1990 after helping to establish Namibia's liberation movement, the Southwest People's Organization, SWAPO, in the 1960s. He is considered a key architect of the country's democracy. Nujoma retired as a head of state in 2005, but continued to lead the party before stepping down in 2007 after 47 years at the helm. And to reflect on Nujoma's legacy, we are now joined by ANC veteran Snuki Zikalala. Bab Zikalala, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. A sad news coming out of Namibia, and condolences to all of the former president's comrades and people that may have had conversations with him before. And I wonder what your experience around former President Nujoma was, also considering that he was awarded the Order of Companions of OR Tambo in gold back in 2018.
Yeah, it is a sad day, really. Of course, we had the news from our ambassador, Tenjiwe, who informed us about a week ago that was hospitalized, and of course, it was not looking good. As the Veterans League, we send our deepest condolences to the family and the people of Namibia. Of course, as you know, that our struggle with Nujoma was intertwined with SWAPO, because SWAPO was fighting against apartheid colonialism. At the same time, we as well are fighting against racist colonialism in South Africa. As you know, that also we jointly fought against the South African racists when they went into Angola, and of course, with the help of the Cuban and SWAPO managed to remove the racist regime out of Namibia. It is then that out of Angola, it is then that the issue of making sure that Namibia becomes independent after 1987, and they became independent in 1990. It is then that Sam Nujoma took over as the president of Namibia. I think for us it's sad, because currently, while he's joining leaders like Nelson Mandela, Amilcar Cabral, Jomo Kenyatta, and Julius Nyerere. Those are leaders who fought against apartheid colonialism, who fought against the system that divided Africa as it is now. As you know, as you can see now, the war that is raging in the DRC, and of course which is with Rwanda, it is because of the borders which were put together by colonialists who divided Africa. And so Sam Nujoma and the African National Congress and other liberation movement were fighting to get rid of colonialism, to make sure that Africa should unite, because we've got huge mineral resources in Africa, but these mineral resources have been taken out by the former colonial masters. And so we are saying that as Africans, we must unite. We must make sure that we get rid of the borders that are there. We make sure that we put people first, and make sure that we bring about what you call ethical leadership, governance, and make sure that our people in Southern Africa, and of course in Africa as a whole, let's not fight against each other. Let us build unity. Let us make sure that we make Africa prosperous.
Yeah, and with his passing on as well, just after an election that took place in Namibia, and yes, there are some issues that have been raised by the opposition, but what we've seen with that election as well is the very first female president of the country being elected, the very first female president in the SADC region being elected as well. What does that tell us about his legacy and what he leaves behind?
Well, he leaves behind very prosperous Namibia. Of course, he leaves behind Namibia, which is now led by women, because it was not in Africa itself to have women leading, especially liberation movement. It was unheard of. And so when he retired, of course, he retired about 5 years ago. He was the president for 3 terms, but at the same time, he was the president of SWAPO for 47 years. And so currently, as he left and as he passed on, he said the baton was given over to a woman leader, and who's now the president of SWAPO. I think that's a good legacy. And the legacy that he lives on is the legacy of ensuring that Namibia is a free and independent country which believes in constitutionalism, That's what we believe in as South Africa. Believe in the rule of law. We believe in constitutionalism. It's Namibia which will never expropriate land without going through all the necessary steps to ensure that the land that has not been used by former colonial masters, and that's a land that you can expropriate, not only arbitrarily you expropriate land. Of course, even in Namibia, they still have the same problems of the land restitution, the question of the land, which is still owned by some people who are living in Germany and who are still owning land in Namibia. But of course, in South Africa, we are saying that immediately if the land is not occupied for more than 100 years, it is lying fallow, that land can be expropriated for the sake of making sure that it serves the community. You can't just expropriate land without making sure that the owners are not there, the owners are non-existent, and the land is just been lying fallow. And so I think he also faces, the Namibians are facing the same problem, but they will never expropriate land without having gone through all the legal processes. They believe in constitutionalism, they believe in the rule of law, they believe in making sure that the Namibians must own the land belongs to them.
Yeah, the land conversation continues to be an ongoing debate, and bringing in the question about the Germans who still own land in Namibia brings about the conversation once again about the Herero as well as the Namakwa people who were victims of genocide in Namibia at the hands of Germans. But thank you so much for making time for us this morning. That is the ANC veteran there, Snuki Zikalala. His reflection on the legacy of the former president of Namibia, Nujoma, who died early on this morning.